to this absolutely special show. Two of the greatest to have played one-day cricket for India, two of the greatest to have donned Indian colours for the first time on headlines today. Sachin Tendulkar and Sourav Ganguly, the opening combination back on news television. Welcome Sachin, welcome Saurav. When the two of you all batted, we just watched. I'm going to do that. Keep talking. First question to you, Sachin. You played under him, with him. What was special of Saurav as captain?
I thought Saurav's quality and captaincy was he was able to take the team along, and he had certain ideas. He would share those ideas. I mean, I was possibly the senior most player in the team when Saurav took over, and we always discussed, and then it was up to us to give him various options, but he was able to take those decisions. And for any captain to be able to take those decisions is really important. Once you have taken a decision, to take your team along is also important, which he did.
Taking a decision about him to bat him up the order in South Africa?
No, I think that was a lot more of Anil Kumble's decision, if he remembers. We spoke about it, and I was still with the opinion that let's see how it starts, because it was so important to us. We wanted to play his best, but in trying to do that, we forgot that he played his best as an opener. And that's when Anil said that if you want him to play at his best, he should open. And that's when we decided, fine, if India has
but ultimately it was your call, so you...
Yeah, I took the call. And I used to listen. Yeah.
We had a meeting, we had a camp, and this was in Pal.
Yeah, Pal.
And we had a meeting over lunch. And it was Anil, Srinath, Rahul and Saurav, 5 of us, and John. And that's when we started discussing. And I still played 2 warm-up games at number 4, and then we lost those games quite badly against not a great
Natal
team.
Side. Yeah.
And that's when John came to my room alone and he asked me, where would you like to bat? I said, I'm ready to bat wherever you want me to bat. I'm okay. And then eventually we decided that I said I'm
And that has always been the case. You've heard after a while a lot that he wanted to open only. It was never that case. He never took strike. That was the case. But he never wanted to open all the time. And when you asked him to bat at 4, he said, no, I will bat at 4. I'll do whatever the team wants. And in South Africa for the World Cup, we decided, no, if India has to play well, he's got to go up the order. If he plays well, we play well, and we play well around him.
Did he exceed your expectations in that competition?
He never exceeds my expectations, because my expectations with him were always high, and he's lived up to everyone's expectations. And when you get 100 international hundreds, what more do you expect of a player? And I've seen him from the age of 14, and when I was on television watching the 100th 100 in Bangladesh.
We met when we were 12. I was 12. You were 14.
He was 12 and I was 13. No.
So he's added one more year.
Yeah. He invariably adds. He invariably adds one more year, but that's okay. And then I've seen him go through the various stages. I've seen him get that 175 in Kanpur with one of the heaviest cricket bats a 12 or 13-year-old can pick. And he smashed it everywhere. And I remember the coach saying that this is a special kid, and you could see it. So he's just fulfilled everyone's expectations, and all those what you hear that he never wanted to bat in the middle order, he never got runs when India required the most, was absolutely rubbish. And when you play with someone for such a long period, and we played together for 13 years for India, and then he obviously went on to play a lot more. And then even at the Ranji Trophy stage, at the youth level stage, you just sit back and think, wow, what an achievement. And only as a player, when you've played the game, when you've been through the hard yards in the middle, when you've seen the 140, 150 kilometers per hour whiz past your nose and your ears in all conditions, then you realize how monumental were his efforts on the cricket field when you get 100 international hundreds.
Monumental efforts. We've celebrated that. This gentleman also, that 2003 World Cup, he's got 300s there. How was it opening the batting with him?
I batted at 3 though.
You batted at 3, but because you've told me in the past that there's nobody who understood you or read you better than him.
Absolutely, and I'll come to that.
We played together for a long time, and not only at international cricket level, but right from our school days. He was playing for East Zone and I played for West Zone. It was that under 15 camp in Indore that we almost spent a month together. We went to England on number of tours with Star Cricket Club. So I've known him really well. I've known his game really, really well. and I knew exactly standing at the non-strikers end what he was thinking and what he was planning. We knew each other's games so well, and we sort of knew how to build those partnerships and when to allow each other to take more strike.
Sir, what did you talk
absolutely.
about?
When he batted, and I'll extend that a bit more. When he batted, I could see from his feet movement where he was trying to hit. And as a non-striker end, I would actually be alert. Even when I finished playing and he was still playing so well for India, when he would go to South Africa, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sachin, when he was ready to pull on those bouncy pitches, his front foot would go across first. And that's a remarkable ability he had. He would set for that short one to pull, and then if it was pitched up, his bat still came straight down and hit the ball past the mid-on fielder. It was unbelievable to watch. Even when I finished playing, and I used to speak to him and message him once in a while when I used to watch him play, every time he would not get forward, I would just call up and tell him, get forward. That's when you play your best. And I've just seen his game change amazingly, especially I'm not talking about in India, I'm talking about in South Africa. The 2010 series he batted in South Africa, and I think that's the best I've seen him play in overseas conditions other than his 100 at Perth. And you could make out that he's there, his feet's going forward, and when he gets forward onto the ball, he doesn't hit the ball. He just puts the bat and he just flies all around the park.
We've celebrated Sachin, we've celebrated Saurav, but let's ask these two. Do you give India a chance in 2015? Sachin first.
I think we have a good chance. See, the first half of the tournament is going to set the tone. Like in 2011 also, we played well in the first half of the tournament. There were patches when if we batted well, then we didn't bowl well, and we bowled well, then we didn't bat and score enough runs. But towards the second half of the tournament, we started putting both these things together. And that's when, the quarterfinals, we batted well, we bowled well. Semis, we batted well, we bowled well. And also the finals, we did both really well. And that's what we need to do in Australia, because once you have reached the second half of the tournament, then it is about the last three games actually. Quarterfinals, semis and finals. And if those three games, if you can press the pedal hard in all three aspects, bowling, batting and fielding. Fielding is going to be critical. We are a brilliant fielding side. Bowling is going to be really, really important for us. Batters, I know Virat has been in really, really good form. Rohit has displayed some fantastic batting. The other guys will have to play around them and make sure that we put a formidable total on the board. Obviously, we have to bowl better.
You give them a chance?
Yeah, I do give them a chance. One day cricket, India, I always give them a chance. And with the format, you just have to get to the quarterfinals and then it's three games, anybody's game. Yes, but the most important thing which I really want these boys to be is fresh before the World Cup. It's been a long tour. 4 tests in Australia where you've been battered, you've been hit hard. The bowlers have run in and bowled 500 runs in every test match, 300 runs in the second innings whenever Australia has batted. So you can see it on Mohammad Shami and Umesh Yadav. When you see the body, you can make it from outside there. They're tired. That's why I said in one of my interviews that I hope India don't qualify for the tri-series so that it gives them a break. I would rather actually want them to come back for 3-4 days, unpack and then go back and play the World Cup. Key will be to remain fresh. When you have players like Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni in one-day cricket, the form Rohit Sharma is, you always give the team a chance. But everyone has to play collectively. The top order batting is important. The bowling will be the key, which at the present moment is struggling. Because if you look at India's wins overseas, when they won in the Champions Trophy in England, it spun square. It turned square in England because of the Ashes, they were trying to make wickets which spun because of Panesar and Gramson and the pitches turned. But it's not going to be the case in Australia. So India will have to be really at the top of the game, especially in the batting, to get through to the next
Both
level.
of you have mentioned batting.
He spoke about the fatigue.
Yeah.
Fatigue factor is really, really important because I experienced that in 91-92. We played 5 test matches in Australia, tri-series, followed by the World Cup.
This time.
Yeah. The only difference now you are saying here is I hope the team comes back. We didn't come back in spite of, good 15,
And I was part of that
15 20 days between the tri-series and the World Cup. We didn't come back. So at the end of the tournament, that mental fatigue, physical, obviously, you can still go to gyms and work out, and if you're not carrying an injury, then it's reasonably okay to maintain certain level of fitness. But mental fitness, that freshness, to be
It's
able
very
to,
important.
move away from the game, recharge your batteries and come back firing
Very
in all
important.
cylinders. That
Let
is
me
going to be
ask
critical.
England, I'll just take one step further. England, before this World Cup for 2003, 2007, all three World Cups, they had the Ashes before. In 2003, South Africa, and I remember on the train we were going for the inaugural ceremony, and Michael Vaughan was standing next to me, and I could see on his face that he was gone. 5 test matches, tri-series, and then come straight to the World Cup. 2007, they did the same thing. When they came on to the West Indies, absolutely knackered they were. And that's the reason they haven't been to Australia before the World Cup. They go to the Ashes next year. That's the reason they have changed it, and India has gone through it. So, as I said, the key will be to stay fresh. The key will be to stay hungry, because the easier part of those 3.5, 4 months have gone. It's the tough part in terms of pressure, in terms of public expectations, and in terms of people watching will start now. So, and they've already had a long tour before that. So, as I said, and I agree with him, freshness is the key.
Can they be fresh? Is it possible? Quick answer, we've got to take a break. Is it possible? Be realistic.
Of course, it's possible if they are allowed to be in the right space, the space that they want to be in. Some third person should not decide, oh, this is right for them. Every individual responds differently, and he likes to unwind differently, and they should be allowed to be in their own space rather than some third person taking a call for them.
It's a fascinating conversation. I'm going to ask, is India over dependent on Virat? I'm going to ask what the strategy should be, but for that, we were talking about batting, freshness. Do you think India is over dependent on Virat?
I don't think so in one-day cricket. Test matches, yes, overseas conditions. But one-day cricket, no. I see a lot of match winners in the team. Rohit Sharma is one. His 100 in Melbourne was a remarkable knock. Ajinkya Rahane, a very good player in all conditions. Virat Kohli, match winner. One-day cricket, he bats at a different level. And captain MS Dhoni. I think when it comes to one-day cricket, he's a terrific player.
Do you agree, disagree?
I fully agree with him. You'll always have couple of key players. Someone like Ajinkya Rahane, I feel, is extremely underrated. I mean, opposition wouldn't be planning as much for Ajinkya as much as they would, spend time thinking about how we're going to bowl to Rohit, Virat, Dhoni towards the end. Raina is dangerous. If he gets going, he can clear any field in the world. So I think all this, the combination that we're looking to play, I think Shikhar, if he gets off to a good start, he can be a dangerous player as well. So, I mean, I strongly believe that we are a very good batting lineup, and the form, obviously, in Test cricket of Virat's was incredible. Also, the form of Ajinkya Rahane's was really, really good. The rest of the guys will have to sort of, find their form and deliver consistently. Even if it's not really big, but all of them consistently perform, and there are always going to be a couple of guys who will have good day. So rest of the guys need to make sure that they play around him.
Sort of death bowling has been a serious concern. I mean, do you actually see who's your death bowler? Who are the two death bowlers that you would use?
To be honest, at the present moment, there's only one, Mohammad Shami, who I think is a very good death bowler. I expect a lot from Umesh Yadav. I think he's underachieved. He's a lot better bowler than that. He will be important the way Bhuvaneshwar Kumar has bowled in the one-day matches and in the test matches. He's not the Bhuvaneshwar Kumar we've seen in England, or we've seen in other parts of the world. I don't know whether he's still recovering from his injury. The ball hasn't seemed to come out well. The good thing for India is Stuart Binney has showed some signs of performance. He hasn't had the best of opportunities throughout his one-day career or test career. So he can do the job at number 7. He can do the job at number 7 because India will need batting at number 7, and then your 4 bowlers. And I think if these boys stand up, see, World Cup cricket, big tournaments is about players standing up. You talk about the 2003 World Cup, Sachin Tendulkar stood up. 2007 World Cup, Sachin Tendulkar got the runs. You talk about winning teams, Australia, Ricky Ponting, Adam Gilchrist. Different players have stood up and taken their games to the next level to win World Cups. And India will have to do that. Look at the finals in Mumbai here, where we are sitting. MS Dhoni, India were struggling. What a knock he played. The whole tournament he didn't get runs. Came to the final, he played an absolute blinder. So people need to produce outstanding performances to win World Cups, and hopefully that happens for India.
Do you see who are your death bowlers? Do you actually see India sort of doing it at the death? What should the captain do as an advice?
I think it's also going to depend a lot on bowling form. I have seen at one stage Bhuvaneshwar bowling really well in T20 death overs. He last season He got his Yorkers outside the off stump spot on. And then I think it's just about momentum. If the bowlers get into that momentum, good rhythm, they will be able to deliver, I feel. But I agree with Saurav. Right now, I feel it is Shami. Umesh will have to go fuller, I think. Umesh has that pace to beat many batsmen in the air. And then he can do that. He can generate some serious pace and good reverse swing towards the end.
And end of the season, March, wickets in Australia would take turn. Do you see India playing two spinners? Do you see spin being an option for the World Cup? Ashwin, Jadeja, Patel?
I think Ashwin and Jadeja playing together, I really don't know, because it is all to do with how Stuart Binney also chips in. If he is doing a reasonable job bowling up front or whenever he gets to bowl, then he will be a handy customer, because I fully agree with Saurav. He would be that one dark horse where nobody is expecting, nobody has seen much of Stuart Binney, but Stuart Binney can really tonk the ball. He's in control when he's hitting. It's not slogging, it's just extension of his arms, and he would play a beautiful cover drive, just angling his bat up, and the ball is going to land in the stands. He has that power to do it. So to have Stuart Binney there at number 7, who can also come and bowl, would give a new dimension to our team, I feel.
So Ashwin, Jadeja, Stuart Binney, two of them, who would you go for?
Depends on conditions. They're playing in Adelaide, they're playing Pakistan, and then they're playing South Africa in Melbourne. So I would actually have Jadeja at 7 and Ashwin at 8. Depends on how Ashwin is bowling, because he hasn't bowled well in the test matches. So he probably will have to bowl. It could be two left-arm spinners also if Akshar Patel is bowling well. But to start with, it'll be Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja, and then the
Do you think spin will be a
three
factor?
quicks. Yes, absolutely spin will. It depends on the conditions. It may be the end of the season, but wickets in the World Cup will be prepared well. You won't get rank turners in the World Cup, and the curators will prepare good pitches. There will be bounce, there will be carry. Then India go to Perth where they play West Indies. So different conditions will have different bowlers, and once you go to the knockout stages, it depends on where you play and you decide.
Sachin, how important is leadership? Saurav in 2003, inspirational. 2011, Dhoni. Does Dhoni still have it in him? How important is leadership for India in this World Cup?
Leadership is only as important as how good your team plays. Yes, there are certain decisions which captain has to take. He has to lead from the front. But you got batters to put runs on the board. I mean, if you don't put decent target on the board, a captain cannot do much, honestly. A captain can only do certain things. But captain should also be provided that platform to be able to execute his plans. So I feel it is definitely going to be team effort. I don't remember a match in 2003 where we scored 210 runs and we won against a leading side. You got to have a decent target to put opposition under pressure, and also not give too many runs, which is again the bowler's job, to make sure that your batsman can go out and play without pressure, or less pressure, I would say. So captaincy.
Because my expectations with him were always high, and he's lived up to everyone's expectations. And when you get 100 international hundreds, what more do you expect of a player? And I've seen him from the age of 14, and when I was on television watching the 100th hundred in Bangladesh.
We met when we were 12. I was 12. You were 14.
He was 12 and I was 13. No.
So he's added one more year.
Yeah. He invariably adds. He invariably adds one more year, but that's okay. And then I've seen him go through the various stages. I've seen him get that 175 in Kanpur with one of the heaviest cricket bats a 12 or 13-year-old can pick. And he smashed it everywhere. And I remember the coach saying that this is a special kid, and you could see it. So he's just fulfilled everyone. We wanted to play his best, but in trying to do that, we forgot that he played his best as an opener. And that's when Anil said that if you want him to play at his best, he should open. And that's when we decided, fine, if India has
but ultimately it was your call, so you took.
Yeah, I took the call. And I used to listen.
We had a meeting, we had a camp and
In
this
Pal.
was in Pal.
Yeah, Pal.
And we had a meeting over lunch, and it was Anil, Srinath, Rahul, and Saurav, 5 of us, and John. And that's when we started discussing. And I still played 2 warm-up games at number 4, and then we lost those games.
Hello and welcome to this absolutely special show. 2 of the greatest to have played one-day cricket for India. 2 of the greatest to have donned Indian colours for the first time on headlines today. Sachin Tendulkar and Sourav Ganguly, the opening combination back on news television. Welcome Sachin, welcome Saurav. When the 2 of you all batted, we just watched. I'm going to do that. Keep talking. First question to you, Sachin. You played under him, with him. What was special of Saurav as captain?
No, I thought Saurav's quality and captaincy was he was able to take the team along, and he had certains quite badly against not a great
Natal
team.
side. Yeah.
And that's when John came to my room alone and he asked me, where would you like to bat? I said, I'm ready to bat wherever you want me to bat. I'm okay. And then eventually we decided that I said I'm
And that has
comfortable.
always been the case. You've heard after a while a lot that he wanted to open only. It was never that case. He never took strike. That was the case. But he never wanted to open all the time. And when you asked him to bat at 4, he said, no, I will bat at 4. I'll do whatever the team wants. And in South Africa for the World Cup, we decided, no, if India has to play well, he's got to go up the order. If he plays well, we play well, and we play well around
Did
him.
he
And
exceed your expectations in that competition?
he never exceeds my expectations.
Ideas. He would share those ideas. I mean, I was possibly the senior most player in the team when Saurav took over. And we always discussed. And then it was up to us to give him various options. But he was able to take those decisions. And for any captain, to be able to take those decisions is really important. Once you've taken a decision, to take your team along is also important, which he did.
Taking a decision about him to bat him up the order in South Africa?
No, I think that was a lot more of Anil Kumble's decision, if he remembers. We spoke about it, and I was still with the opinion that let's see how it starts, because it was so important to us. We